If you were living near a coastline and the weather forecasts were saying that there is going to be a deadly hurricane, Katrina-like and maybe even worse, that's going to come in 48 hours, would it be optimistic to say, we're going to be fine, nothing bad's going to happen, we're going to get through this, let's just live our life normal? Would that be optimistic? Would it be optimistic to say, oh boy, this is going to be a doozy, let's pack up the truck with the best valuables we can and head away from the coastline? Which one is optimism? Are they both optimism? Optimism can be defined as a tendency to expect the best possible outcome or dwell on the most hopeful aspects of a situation. Because I am very, very optimistic about the economy, but nowhere near what the mainstream is saying. And the key thing was the definition that said best possible. Because what they want is they want to restore lending back in the economy. And this to me is not, first of all, it is not possible for it to happen. But also it says that it's defined as the belief that the universe is improving and that good will ultimately triumph over evil. The dollar is that of evil. We are slaves to the monetary system. So by restoring lending and having the economy the way it was, that would not be good triumphing over evil. If anything, it is evil triumphing over good. So no, what they're saying, it is not optimistic. But in the previous example, I said, okay, pack up the truck with your best valuables and head away. Optimism is understanding the truth as denying the truth, pessimistic, accepting the truth, optimistic. So accepting the truth and preparing what is needed, to me, that is optimistic, because I am very, very optimistic that the dollar is going to go through its serious crisis and it is in fact going to collapse. That is the optimism in me. And in the whole good over evil, I am optimistic that before good will supreme over evil, that the economy will be fine overall, and that the barter system for those whom do prepare by buying gold, silver, and other real assets will be doing fine. That is a very optimistic approach. I am very optimistic that whatever it is that the powers that be decide to do, we will overcome them and we will get through it. I am optimistic that whatever it is that the gods that be will decide to do, we will get through it and we will overcome it. That is the optimism in which I have. I am very optimistic that the slaves we are for the dollar will die. In fact, this whole barter system of like gold and silver really does mean that we're still going to be slaves to a monetary system. It's just instead of being slaves to a dollar, slaves to gold and silver. I'm optimistic that that stage will come in, but we will even get by that. As optimistic as I am, my optimism even stretches to the point that when we do get through this and the recovery, which will happen, will get us so that we can trade on gratification and love rather than that from fear and greed, as we have been trading with fear and greed for so long, and that this trading of gratification and love, giving some person that needs food, you give them food, you give them shelter. That is the world in which that I see, and I'm optimistic this will happen. The closest thing I can see to a trading of gratification is that of the Venus Project, resource-based economy, and I am extremely optimistic that a system of the resource-based economy, or one like the resource-based economy, will in fact come into play, because their views of the recovery are much different than my views. But I am very optimistic that things will work out and that the golden age that I do talk about is in fact coming in the near future, but not as near as they say that the recovery will be, which is later this year and into 2010. That's not going to be the case, because I'm optimistic that we're going to have to go through turmoil. I'm optimistic that the death of the dollar must occur, and living through a death of something as big as this, quite frankly, cannot be easy. There must include some pain, but we gotta learn how to lose before we know how to win. And this is us learning how to lose. When we figure this out, oh boy, are we ever going to win.